Trump today has just dropped the big bomb. You got to give this guy credit. South Africa has a major problem. And the government there is trying to battle it. But they're also trying to keep it out of the news. We're going to go over Trump's interview where he literally just exposes everything that mainstream has been trying to hide like normal. This is what propaganda does. Because you would never want to say white genocide. Ooh, that's a bad thing. When it's actually happening. Now, it's not that it's just white genocide. There's African on African down there as well. The level of crime, most of it caused by mass immigration and organized groups using the laws within the land in order to get away with rape, murder, and all the rest of it. And like I said, they've been infiltrated. Every party has got infiltration of, there is still small groups of the white supremacists, the old apartheid. Now they're almost gone. There's not very many of them left. But the remnants of that apartheid lies within the hearts of the children that are now adults. And you add that to a 40% unemployment rate, mass poverty, very bad media. They're the major cause by not telling the truth. We have that here in Canada. Look at our election. But it's the laws in which give them their democracy because of how they're written. These groups are using them against their own people. Now, yes, obviously the murders and everything else, that's illegal. That all deals with infiltration and fears between political rivals of actually calling the police and going into a place like this. How do you deal with the stadium with 150, 200,000 people? And I've heard reports of 500,000 people. Now, it's hard to count heads when you're dealing with this type of, like, this is a huge rally. The politics, the corruption, the years of oppression, the years of racism, all mixed together, and then it's catalyzed by mass immigration, has caused what we're seeing today. Now, the government, yes, my opinion, weak, very weak. There are those within the government that are trying to do better. But you can't elect a white president. That's not going to happen in Africa. You'll have literally an uprising, let alone good luck trying to get him voted with the black majority. Now, I'm not saying the color difference makes one better than the other. It's how the system doesn't allow the freedom of any race or creed to run fairly because of all of this chaos, like I said. Right? You've got the past racism, the new racism, the corruption. Trump drops live video documentation with the press right there and puts the press on the spot for not doing their job. We're going to get into that today, but I'm not going to give you the shorthand what everybody else is doing. Oh, it's the white genocide. I'm going to let you listen carefully to what the other people within Africa's administration talk about as well. This isn't a one-sided, yes, there is white genocide going on down there. Without a doubt. Yes, the government is weak in how it's trying to tackle it, but it can't, because you're dealing with millions in a minority that are incredibly how would I say this? They're extremely violent. It's a violent culture. Let's get started with this Trump interview, and we're just going to work our way through it. As always, I post all my links below. So I'm not going to do what a lot of these other independents are doing, where they're only showing you this white genocide. In order for you to understand the whole story, you need the entire context of it. And I'm going to try, and really, in this interview, if you watch it in its entirety, it's long. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I am clipping parts of it out, but you can watch it right there. You need to see its entirety, because now the media is going to do the opposite. Now they're going to throw out, oh, look, it's not white genocide. He said this and he said this. They're going to try to protect the lies and hate that they've been hiding from the people, which has allowed this to happen. And take note, Canada. Listen very carefully, because with the mass immigration that we've got going and our unemployment rate, and I've said this on other shows, and in fact, not that I found all the numbers, because it's hard to find the actual numbers the way the government does it. But if you look around the streets and you talk to people all around, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize we're at 20% unemployment. And it's growing fast. We've been in a recession for 2 years. Don't let the media tell you otherwise. We're heading for a depression. And for some reason, the people out east cannot get their head out of the propaganda cloud and voted in Carney to keep the Liberals doing what they're doing. Now, like I said, this may be Africa. Watch carefully. Listen to the words in which all of these other people within the African Assembly, listen to their stories as well. I'm not here to give you the one side. I'm here to give you the truth. Sorry, just the facts. Let's start off with where it started to get a little heated.
But we do have a lot of people are very concerned with regard to South Africa, and that's really the purpose of the meeting, and we'll see how that turns out. But we have many people that feel they're being persecuted, and they're coming to the United States. So we take from many locations if we feel there's persecution or genocide going on. And we had a lot of people. I must tell you, Mr. President, we have had a tremendous number of people, especially since they've seen this. Generally, they're white farmers, and they're fleeing South Africa, and it's a very sad thing to see. But I hope we can have an explanation of that, because I know you don't want that. It's a kind of a different meeting. Normally we have meetings, we talk about trade, and we'll be talking about trade and other things. But that certainly will be a subject that comes up. Yeah. Yes, please. Brian?
Thank you very much. I'd like to get your thoughts on Letitia James, Director Polte.
Now, yes, the media is trying to deviate. He ties into them pretty good here in a couple spots. We're just going to fast forward past where this is the last end of where he's dealing with another one of these so-called reporters. And then, like I said, this is where it starts to get pretty heated.
What would it take for you to be convinced that there's no white genocide in South Africa?
Well, I can answer that for the president. It's for him. No, seriously.
I'd rather have him answer.
Yeah, I'd rather answer that. It will be.
Our president will respond to you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mr. President.
It will take President Trump listening to the voices of South Africans, some of whom are his good friends, like those who are here. When we have talks between us on the quiet table, it will take President Trump to listen to them. I'm not going to be repeating what I've been saying. I would say if there was Afrikaner farmer genocide, I can bet you these three gentlemen would not be here, including my Minister of Agriculture. He would not be with me. So it'll take him, President Trump, listening to their stories, to their perspective. That is the answer to your question.
But,
Thank you,
Mr. President, I must say
President
that
Trump.
we have, no, wait. We have thousands of stories talking about it.
Sure.
And we have documentaries, we have news stories. And that, is Natalie here, somebody here to turn that? I could show you a couple of things, and I have to, it has to be responded to.
Yeah, sure,
We
we
have-
will.
Let me see the articles, please, if you would, and turn the lights down. Turn the lights down, and just put this on. It's right behind you, Johan.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. Yeah. South Africa occupy land. That's who we are. Whatever we want to do, we can withdraw my membership from this useless parliament. Honorable. Yes, honorable member.
Must never be scared to kill. A revolution demands that at some point there must be killing, because the killing is part of a revolutionary act. Shoot to kill. Namaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer. Pa, 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 pa. To kill. Namaza. Kill the poor, the farmer.
The mayor of D-Day in PE is a white man. So these people, when you want to hit them hard, go after a white man. They feel a terrible pain.
Now, if you notice, he's sweating. And I'm going to show you a different angle while this is going on. Because you need to see the reactions. See how uncomfortable he is? He knows this is going on. And Trump's using the pressure of the office right now like he does best to expose the reality, the truth. Because the media won't do it.
Shoot to kill. Come on, sir. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer.
You see, he's not even looking. He's very uncomfortable. He's sweating. He's not liking this at all.
For the killing of white people, at least for now. I can't ever see the picture. Yeah, but I mean, you understand somebody watching that.
Now, while this is kind of going on, look at how uncomfortable he is. This is crazy. So, while this is going on, I'm going to show you exactly what they're watching. Now, first, let's just start off with the reactions of with the reactions of what's while this is playing. So you can see the entire perspective, the heat in the room. And even within the console, the people who are here from Africa, you can see within their own group, not only do they know this is real, they're uncomfortable about it, and now they're forced, they know it's coming. They are forced to speak about it. And this is the best possible way to deal with this. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. This needs to be seen by the world so that we can actually debate, see all of the sides, and understand what's caused it, why it's progressing into this huge movement, and stop it in its tracks. Watch the reactions.
But we are starting with this whiteness. We are cutting the throat of whiteness.
Shoot to kill. Come on, sir. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor.
A you start sweating, the one girl in the middle, she's actually got a smile on her face. The guy beside her, to her left, on the right side, sitting beside her, look at him. He's staring. He is incredibly uncomfortable. You can see within the entire party here that there is rifts. The people sweating are the biggest giveaway. They're sweating. They're like, holy crap. And the videos they're watching are these.
We'll kill the children, we'll kill the women, we'll kill anything that we find on our women's rights. We kill the children, we kill the women, we kill their dogs, we kill their cats, we kill anything that comes. We'll kill
anything that stands in their way. This is what nobody's talking about. This is only one. Look at all of the cross is there representing every farmer, wife, child, grandparent. Some of these graves they don't even know of. They're finding farms with no bodies. Look at them all. Miles and miles down the road. They're screaming out, trying to get the media. They need real media. This is why I need you to like, share, and subscribe. This can stop if people see the reality of what is going on down there, so that a person can actually have an open dialogue without all of this fake fear, fake hate, fake division, fake racism. These people push inequalities. Somebody of a color it should be better represented than somebody who's not. If two people do the same crime, the person of color shouldn't have to go to jail as long. Everything about where our society is going is leading to this. This is what needs to be debated. I'm just so happy Trump did this. It just keeps going and going and going.
Must never be scared to kill. A revolution demands that at some point there must be killing, because the killing is part of a revolutionary act.
I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I'm saying to you, we have not called for the killing of white people, at least for now. I can't guarantee the future.
Yeah, but I mean, you'd understand somebody watching that, especially as it gets shared on Twitter, they freak out. It sounds like a genocidal call.
Cry babies. Cry babies.
I'm not calling for the slaughter of white people, at least for now.
I can't give a guarantee of the future, especially when things are going the way they are.
Subtext.
Especially if things are going the way they are, there will be a revolution in this country, I can tell you now.
We are not calling for the slaughter of white people, at least for now. That means at some future date, we may call for the slaughter of white people. Is that correct?
Let's deal with that at that future date. I don't know what's going to happen.
So you're saying you are not ruling out that in the future you may very well call for the slaughter of white people?
It may not be me.
Could it be you?
It could be me, yes, but it may not be me.
Yeah, so it could be you. You could, at some future date, call for the slaughter of white people.
Shoot to kill. Gamaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer. Brr, pa, pa. Must never.
Now, the media that was him that they were interviewing. And he won't admit genocide. But yet at the same point, in order to keep his followers and build this base like that runs on the hate And again, these are so important because this is propaganda. This is how governments take power. This is how evil rules. It's fear, hate, and division. They have microphones in their country spewing this, which garners more and more attention and fuels people to do the things they're doing. Because the mainstream, the legacy that is echoing around the world, isn't talking about it. They're allowing this to happen. Same thing as what really happened in Ukraine. They will not admit the truth. I talk about this in previous episodes. This deals with part of my lineage. Trust me, I know what's going on in Ukraine, and it is not what the media is telling you. It didn't start because of what the media is telling you. It started with hate. It started with this type of ideology that one sect of people is better than the other and you must remove them. We're seeing it in Canada. Hamas on the streets spewing this type of rhetoric. Nothing being done. And now we're going to get to why. Because this party that's there does break down and explain a lot of it. And we'll break it down. But first, let's just, these videos, he tours all over Africa. He's got, everywhere he goes, he's packing stadiums. This is growing into a huge opposition party that is scaring the living daylights out of the Freedom Party that's there right now, who doesn't believe in any of this, but is bound by the rules of democracy. It doesn't end. Like I said, there is so much video, so much feed, but mainstream. Cricket.
Kiss the poor, the farmer. Kiss the poor, the farmer.
And that's Boer, is what he's saying. Every stadium he goes to, there's thousands of these, and I have available footage that I'm already pushing the edge. I've noticed here lately a few of the things that I've talked about, I'm being demonetized. I can tell I follow my algorithms. Because of the fact that I try to talk openly. The reason I created this channel was to get the facts out. Sorry, just the facts. And it's hard to do when you're censored. Welcome to Canada. Now we're going to go further on into this conversation with Trump.
Very bad. These are burial sites right here. Burial sites. Over 1,000 of white farmers, and those cars are lined up to pay love on a Sunday morning. Each one of those white things you see is a cross, and there's approximately 1,000 of them. They're all white farmers, the family of white farmers. And those cars aren't driving, they're stopped there to pay respects to their family member who was killed. And it's a terrible sight. I've never seen anything like it. Both sides of the road you have crosses. Those people were all killed.
Have they told you where that is, Mr. President? No, I'd like to know where that is, because this I've never seen. But okay.
I mean, it's in South Africa. That's where.
He knows where it is. Now we're going to wheel ahead here a little wee bit.
Which is a very nice thing. They also gave $5.1 trillion worth of investment in addition to the jet.
Now, here he's tying in. He wants the mainstream to talk about this. Like I said, he knows that in order for anything to be solved, people need to come to the table. Lies need to be exposed. Truth needs to be spoken so that we can fix what's going on. And he ties right in to these reporters. He's Trump, man. He don't mess around.
Go back. You ought to go back to your studio at NBC, because Brian Roberts and the people that run that place, they ought to be investigated. They are so terrible the way you run that network, and you're a disgrace. No more questions from you. Go ahead. Go ahead, talk about that. His name is Peter something. He's a terrible reporter. Quiet. Let's go.
Thank you so much. President Trump, Anna Pilastra from ENCA in South Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Steve.
What would you like President Ramaphosa to do about the situation that we've just seen on the screen?
I don't know. Look, these are articles over the last few days. Death of people. Death. Horrible death. Death. I don't know.
But you know that
To pick anyone, white South Africans are fleeing because of the violence and racist laws. And this is all, I mean, I'll give these to you. So when you say, what would I like to do? I don't know what to do. Look at this. White South African couples say that they were attacked violently. And,
President Trump, when will you go and see for yourself if it is indeed true?
well, I could do that. Look, here's burial sites all over the place. These are all white farmers that are being buried.
Now, you got to listen to what he's saying. Because of the laws, they took this oppression and twisted it around. And instead of finishing the way it should have been cured, which is equality, they started to favor who was once oppressed, which now gives those the ability to oppress those who didn't actually oppress them. Most of the apartheid is gone. They fled. There's a few closet people sitting in the back that, yes, sure, there's racism. Everywhere you go in the world, you're going to run across it. You're going to run across white, you're going to run across black, you're going to run Indian. Everybody has some type of people where they carry this burden and they think that everybody of the opposite who once persecuted them should be. Canada is doing it. This is what our laws are doing. They're favoring a certain race of individual over another. This is what the problem is in Africa. This is one of the problems. Trump's trying to bring it to light. But now the media is putting this spin on it.
And he asks about a jet that was given. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. You know, you are so bad. You're such a bad reporter. This is one after another. This family was wiped out. I'm just.
He's got a stack of them.
Reaction to those videos, Mr. President.
Well, I think the videos are so. No. When you look at the videos, I mean, how does it get worse? And these are people that are officials, and they're saying that kill the white farmer and take their land. That's what. And I have other friends in South Africa. I have people that left. One in particular that says you can't go there. He said they want to take your land. They take your land and they kill you. It's okay, and they say it's okay to do. Now we're going to talk about it. But this is a tremendous look. This is a story recent. These are all people that recently got killed.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it can get any worse. These are. And you know, the men that you saw, the people that you saw in that movie, those are officials. Those are people that were in office. They had one march, they had a dance in your parliament, whatever you may call it, legislature.
Well, let me clarify that.
Yeah.
Let me clarify that, because what you saw, the speeches that were being made, one, that is not government policy. We have a multi-party democracy in South Africa that allows people to express themselves, political parties to adhere to various policies. And in many cases, or in some cases, those policies do not go along with government policy. Our government policy is completely against what he was saying, even in the parliament. And they're a small minority party, which is allowed to exist in terms of our constitution.
But you do allow them to take land.
No.
You do allow them to take land.
Nobody can
and
take
then when
land.
they take the land, they kill the white farmer. And when they kill the white farmer, nothing happens to them.
No, there is
nothing happens to them.
There is criminality in our country. People who do get killed, unfortunately through criminal activity, are not only white people. Majority of them are black people. And we have now
The farmers are black. The farmers are not black. I don't say that's good or bad, but the farmers are not black. And the people that are being killed in large numbers, and you saw all those grave sites, and those are people that loved ones going, I guess on a Sunday morning, they told me, to pay respect to their loved ones that were killed. Their heads chopped off. They died violently. And, you know, I mean, we're here to talk about it, and I didn't know we'd get involved here. But I will say this, that if the news wasn't fake like NBC, which is fake news totally, one of the worst, ABC, NBC, CBS, horrible. But if they weren't fake news like this jerk that we have here, we have real reporters, they'd be covering it. But the fake news in this country doesn't talk about that. They don't want to talk about it, but now they have to talk about it. But they won't. This won't even be a subject. They'll have him talking about why did a country give a free, think of this, why did a country give an airplane to the United States Air Force? Okay, the United States, not to me, to the United States Air Force, so they could help us out, because we need an Air Force One until that's Air Force One, it's being built.
He goes off tangent here, but I thought it was kind of funny. You had to watch this because he's battling legacy media. And Canada has the worst legacy the worst propaganda machine out of almost every country there is. We are so propagandized that Russia has more freedom of the press than we do. Think about that. There are actual outlets that are popular, that are allowed to run in Russia, whereas here, they're not. CRTC controlled in Canada. Don't forget that. So the only real news you're going to get, the only truth you're going to get, is through this new version right here that I'm exposing you to, showing you it in its entirety, not picking a favored side. Corruption is corruption, evil is evil. Evil begets evil. And now the new liberals are going to try to finish what they've started. They want to take over this new platform, this new form of media, new form of communication. We need to keep this. We need to have this dialogue. We need to have freedom of speech. Now, we're going to go ahead a little bit further because I think these next couple conversations are really important, because these are the other delegates. And there's two in particular I want you to listen to, who just listen to what they say and sit back in your chair in Canada and just absorb, because this is our future. It may not be black on white. We're already seeing the extreme Islamist on Jew. We're watching the government and certain politicians bait the Indigenous against the Canadian. This is all because our system is now set up, because of this Liberal Party, to be unequal, favoring one over the other, trying to commit to the same thing we've been trying to get out of, which is this Westminster system. We need equality. Enough with the government saying, well, you're Indigenous enough, here you go. Oh, you're not Indigenous, here you go. You get this, but you can't have this. And you can't have that, but you can have this. Enough. It allows for this fermentation of hate and division. Now on to this. Like I said, the couple of these are just, listen carefully to their words. They're spoken very politically too. So,
sorry, Mr. President, if you had to wind all of those tapes properly, you will see I'm the biggest target of that rabble-rouser. Number one for over 10 years, Mr. Malema. In fact, the first time I met him, he was in the youth league with that gentleman, and look how he's changed.
Right.
We have too many deaths, but it's across the board. It's not only white farmers, it's across the board. And we need technological help. We need Starlink at every little police station. We need drones. I actually got drones donated for the peace parks to stop elephant and rhino poaching. And his predecessor stopped the importation because he said the United States would spy on us. I mean, US basics, the ridicule. So if you can help us. Remember, sir, you and I lived in New York in the 70s. We never thought New York could be what it became. 2 commissioners, a tough mayor. We need your help to stop this awful killing. But it's across the board. Ernie is right now building a house in George. I'm building 3 cottages for my grandchildren on a farm outside Graaff-Reinet. I often go to bed without locking the door. And we have a serious problem with illegal aliens who stream across the border. And if you really look at our statistics, a lot of these murders, firstly it's unemployment and illegal aliens. And then I met Vice President Vance many years ago, the Charlie Rose show. My wife loved the book. And she reminded me this morning that you emphasized the devastation that occurs when big companies leave towns and cities, and there's a culture of dependency that develops. And I remember you discussing it. Now that's our problem.
Are you hearing this? What is our government trying to do? They're going to ban X. They didn't say they're going to ban X, but if you paid attention to Carney's speeches, he hates the idea of a free platform, of a platform that allows the freedom of speech and allows the community to voice opinions on whether or not somebody's speech is too far gone before it becomes deleted, not the government's. He talks about Starlink. He needs that. He wants to have the ability, not only in the police stations, but everywhere through Africa, so people can have this type of open debate like I'm doing right now with you. He's also listing how when companies flee because of government policy, that creates a welfare state, which is unsustainable. Next thing you know, the ability for the country to produce starts to plummet. The GDP starts to fall. Companies like Domino's start to close and leave the country. This creates more uncertainty, more unemployment, more poverty. And what is our government doing? Every single thing that this man is warning. This has already happened down there. Everything he says is going to echo here. We are in the pre-stages of seeing this.
If we don't get our economy to grow, the culture of dependency and the lawlessness will increase. I've been against apartheid all my life, and I'm their #1 target. Please just Google my name and Malema. You'll see it, sir. He marched on the farm.
But the crime is bad.
The crime is terrible, sir, but Mr. Steenhuisen won't admit to it, but he runs the Western Cape, where I live. And the biggest murder rate is in the Cape Flats. Gangs. We've got gang warfare. Like your M33, whatever these guys. We've got equivalents there. But we need your help, sir. And we need Elon technology.
Well, one of the real areas of support is really in investments. We've got to grow our economy, because through growing the economy, we're then able to create more jobs. Because crime really thrives where there is inequality and unemployment. And that is one of the reasons that has brought us here, to improve our investment relations, our trade relations, so that we can preserve the number of jobs that your companies have created in South Africa. By virtue of what we export to you, we are able to create up to 500,000 jobs in the auto industry, in the agricultural industry, and a number of other industries, mining, where we export things to you.
Now, like I was saying earlier, this president speaking right now is not a good president, because all he cares about is power. And his delegation is split, as I showed you earlier, by the sweat, acknowledgement, and chuckles. You could see it right within the delegation. The man who I just had speaking, he almost broke in tears. He's trying to save his country. He's witnessing firsthand the devastation caused by a complete lack of media and freedom, of inequality. Like I just stated 2 minutes ago, that's happening here in Canada. This president, the delegation had no choice. They're all voted independently throughout their provinces. They have a hybrid Westminster system. It's kind of a complicated system. It's different than ours. It's like a half Republican, but it's still a Westminster system. The president has way more power than what a prime minister would have. He doesn't deal through the monarchy, whereas we deal through the monarchy. Like our waste of, representation that Simon, she's just a puppet. They've eliminated that. But because of the way they've been setting up laws, especially favoring a certain race over another, it's speeding up the process of self-destruction. I'm going to show you a clip of this guy, and then you'll understand why that guy who just spoke, and I can't pronounce his name, he can't say to Trump, the truth of the matter is, I have to deal with this president. He can't say that. He's trying to be political. But let's just listen carefully to the actual president, and you'll see what I mean.
In many, many ways, and none of us ever having to want to run away to another country for fictional reasons that we are being persecuted. We are united in diversity, and none of us should ever feel that they have lost courage, that they've now become cowards and want to run. Ons bly hier, ons is Suid-Afrikaners, en ons gaan hier bly in.
Do you understand now? He doesn't care. I shouldn't say that because I don't know, but I've watched a few of this man's speeches. He doesn't push out the same hate that his opponent. There's two parties down there that are very racist. One of them, which I showed you, he's calling out for the genocide, period. The other one, he's not calling it out, but he's definitely not trying to stop it. Whereas this guy, he's kind of saying he wants to stop it, but he's not really dealing with it because all he cares about is power. He wants to stay in power. This man is becoming filthy rich. He's kind of like the Pelosi, except for he's the president of Africa. And he knows that if he keeps allowing these other divisions these other parties to keep kind of divided, think of Canada, that he can keep his minority government in power. He can stay in power. He picks and chooses which one of his friends are going to open a company. He picks and chooses which radio stations, which propaganda outlets can speak and talk. He gets this power. So you got a caucus behind him who's I would love to be a fly on the wall when Trump gets him behind closed doors. Because I can guarantee you there are a few of the Republican administration sitting salivating right now because they're going to destroy and pick apart this entire little, representatives that came. And actually, it's a pretty big delegation, but they're all going in there and shit's going to hit the fan. Now, I'm going to go a little bit further, and they bring in a union representative. Actually, there's you know what? I'm just going to play the rest of this because there's two people that speak, and I think both of them are important to hear. And again, listen to their words and think, lean back in your chair, and think about what they're saying. And just replace anything Africa with Canada.
Thank you, Mr. President. President Ramaphosa. I grew up in an area in South Africa that is a farmland area, Polokwane.
Yep.
And there is some issues up there. Obviously, my dad was a property developer as well as a part-time farmer. And some of these buddy farmers got killed. The farm is still going. My brothers run it. But it's a constant battle with farms they're trying to burn the farms down to chase you away. So it is a concern to try and make a living as a farmer. And at the end of the day, without farmers, there's no food on the plate. So we need the farmers to produce the food.
Farming, right? He wouldn't even want to do what you're doing, right? They love farming. They don't want to leave. But it's a struggle.
Yeah, and food and fresh water is the most important thing in life. Without those two things, you can't survive.
How is the water there?
The water is great. Obviously, all the water comes out of the borehole, out of ground for us down there. But it is a battle to get the water out sometimes when all the equipment gets stolen all the time that you're trying to get the water out.
So does your family and your brother, do they feel safe on the farm?
They live behind electric fences, try and be at night safe. But it is constant whenever you leave that something could happen. And
there's nowhere to live.
Both of them has been attacked in their houses. My mom's been attacked in her house when she was 80. So it is difficult. But the guys live a great life despite everything going on.
Something.
President Trump, I've brought along the president of the largest trade union in our country, Ziggy Solosi, because she leads many, many workers, more than 1 million, 2 million workers. And maybe we should give her a chance to say something, because she's come all the way to join us.
Thank you very much, Mr. President Trump,
Thank you.
for having us, and President, for extending the invitation to us as organized labor. And I must say that we are here to support the initiative that has been made by our government with business, of course, as organized labor. We've been coming to Washington on the AGOA trade relations in the previous regime. And I think at the center of it all, for me, it is exactly what Mr. Rupert has said, the importance of us growing the economy. We have always emphasized when we were here and kept on coming and negotiating on AGOA that the 600 US companies that are based in South Africa, as you said, President Ramaphosa, 500,000 jobs will be wiped out. We need more foreign direct investment in our country. We are not just talking about those that will lose employment, but we are talking about over 40% of people that are unemployed, that have no hope of ever finding a job. And we think that, correctly, as they have said, that we need to deal with the issue of porous borders in our country, so that everyone that comes in is documented. We also need to, and I would have thought that the minister would address the issue of land expropriation and how the policy works in South Africa. Recently, President, as you were preparing to come here on the news, in, I think it was in Natal, there was a handover of farms, and white farmers were saying, we are donating the land, but also there's a willing buyer, willing seller in South Africa. So there is no expropriation without compensation, but it is a willing buyer, willing seller. And that white farmer was even saying, President, that the government is even paying more in buying the land than what the land is worth of. And I think those are the realities, President, that we must say that we need to address, of course, but also the importance of agriculture linked to AGOA. People rely on it, and I think as a...
And again, you have to really pay attention to the body language. You can see that there are two of the people to her left that are quite uncomfortable with some of the things she's saying. She's correct in what she's saying on a few things, but she's also giving a little bit of a white lie to the other. They would love to see the whites just leave. Certain people within this party would love to see the whites gone. But they're not the ones that are saying we're going to genocide. But they're not the ones saying to stop the genocide. You can also see on the sofa the person to her right. He's very uncomfortable with what she's saying, especially when she starts talking about this payment, this payout. And again, earlier you could see that same person, how uncomfortable he started sweating. And he was looking at the delegation, and his eye contact kept going back to the guy in the middle who just finished speaking. Obviously, there are members within this group who get along and see what's going on and need to know what needs to be changed, but don't have the ability to do it. It's sad, it really is. But for the most part, what she's saying is correct, but you have to read between the lines. And hopefully, by the time you're done watching this, you'll have a better idea how it's not... Don't let the media twist this all around. There are many sides to every story. The trick to understanding it and the ability to being able to fix it is here. It's through open dialogue, transparency, and getting all of the information you can. Yes, white genocide is happening. Yes, there is crime still in the streets. Yes, it's all caused by mostly immigration, mostly bad policies, inequality through legislation, all of the things that you're seeing the Liberal Party do to Canada.
Said for survival and living. But lastly for me, President, is also the issue of the crime statistics. There is no doubt about it that we are a violent nation, for a number of reasons, and we're not condoning anything. But also if you go into the rural areas where black majority are, you would see women, elderly, being raped, being killed, being murdered, and these are black elderly women that would be found throat slits, raped multiple times, and all of that. And the problem in South Africa, it is not necessarily about race, but it is about crime. And we think that we are here to say, how do we, both nations, work together to reset, to really talk about investment, but also help us in how we can have the technology and everything that is needed, President, to really address the levels of crime that we have in our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
President Trump,
genocide is a very strong word. I'm wondering if you've made up your mind as to whether you believe genocide is occurring in South Africa, or you still have doubts, and if you have made up your mind, why invite President Ramaphosa here today?
Well, I haven't made up my mind. I hate to see it from the standpoint of South Africa, but also, I'm trying to save lives. I'm working with Russia and Ukraine. I don't have to do that. It's not our war. It was started by other people. It was helped along by our past administration. It would have never happened if I were president, but I'm trying to save lives, and no matter where. Rwanda, I have nothing to do with Rwanda and the Congo, but I felt I had a very talented person in this administration, and I sent him there, and he did an unbelievable job, I think. I mean, we're going to find out, but he's done the hardest part of the job. It should happen. If I can save lives, I want to save the lives. If it's in Africa, that's great. If it's in Europe, if it's wherever it may be. And it's a very small investment to do, believe me, compared to what the consequences are. So I hope we can do something. Look, I have so many friends. These two men, I have great admiration for them because I know what they do for a living. Yeah. And that's a very hard living. Going from city to city, from country to country, and hitting a ball 350 yards like they do, and
better than you and I.
Getting the ball in the hole. It's a very tough with lots of people watching, right?
Yes,
That's a very tough living. They're champions. I respect champions, and I respect very much. And I think the country is very lucky. They really wanted to be here.
That's true.
They could be elsewhere. They could be on a beautiful fairway someplace, and they wanted to be here.
So I hope I gave you the full spectrum, and I hope I had I hope I did a good job in trying to kind of pinpoint the actual obvious parts that mainstream isn't talking about. And again, there's a lot of independent media out there as well that all they care about is this whole white genocide. Now, again, I'm not saying it's not happening. It is happening. But the story is so much bigger than that. You have to see all of what's going on in order to understand and have the ability to fix it. Something Canada doesn't have. The whole situation is incredibly sad. The lives lost, and innocent lives, children, women, seniors. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. It helps grow the channel, but it'll also help get the word out and get rid of this narrative. This false narrative, because now that this has been exposed, we're going to see the other side of the propaganda on how they try to twist it in order to cover up the lies that they've been spewing, and the fact that they've been hiding this. They've been hiding it from the world. They don't want to talk about it, especially with the policies that our government's putting in. This is the exact mirrored image of what these people are now suffering the consequences of. Wow. You can hate Trump all you want, and personally as a Canadian, he pees me off. But I see what he's doing in the States. He's not our leader. He's leading the United States, and he's doing amazing things down there. And his country comes first. But he's never stopped from wanting the world to be peaceful. That's been his goal his whole life. Before all of the celebrities turned their backs and started throwing knives at him, They were all fawning over him because they knew the man. Oprah's a great example of this. That disgusting beast of a woman. God, she's evil. Again, power. That's all these people care about. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. If you are, punch that notification bell so you don't miss any future episodes. Until the next time, you've been watching the Canadian Citizen Journal. I have been your host, Alias Tagai. Stay informed.